Good morning, everybody. I am Bear with BearIndependent.com, and this morning we are in the prepper classroom. It looks a little dark in here because I think that light right there needs a new ballast. There we go. And go. All right. Today we're talking about food and water part 2. Caveat. There is nothing on this whiteboard that I have not said before. But I'm going to try and say this as succinctly as possible in one place, because I am getting these questions over and over and over again, which is great because that means there are many new people coming to the preparedness lifestyle and they are curious. Hey Bear, how do I not die? Which is awesome. Thanks for being here. But I want this information out here 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different times, so that hopefully it will resonate with one of you one time and you will actually go do the things. But that being said, we're going to cover this ground again. Disastercoffee.com. Bad luck, good coffee. That's right. And in fact, if you buy coffee from them, a portion of their profits goes to support our ministry, Grindstone Ministries. Just saying. And it's really good coffee. I can hear my laptop over there doing Windows updates. Yay! All right, food and water, part 2. So first thing we need to talk about is food storage. You should have food stored up. What food? We're going to get there. Okay, the math, and this number scares so many people. The math, based upon the United States military guidelines for a military-aged male to stay properly fueled, compared against the World Health Organization's number of calories required or recommended for a human being to not lose weight during strenuous activity, combined with my myriad deployments and activities of doing such strenuous things, trying to not die while helping other people, all of these things put together adds up to roughly 3,200 calories per person per day. And I have backed into that number as many ways as I know how. There's an entire spreadsheet on it. One of possibly the most popular Patreon post of the hundreds that are there at our channel is the Food is Power post. I've posted it once and reposted it twice. So it's been posted 3 times on Patreon and it has overwhelming response every time we post it. And there is a food storage calculator there for you so that you can actually figure out, if there's 4 people in my family, how much rice do I need to get to 750 pounds per person per year, blah, 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 blah. But the number is 750 pounds per person per year. I split that equally between corn, rice, wheat, and beans. The reason for that is corn, rice, wheat, and beans all have roughly plus or minus 1,600 calories per pound. So 2 pounds per day is 3,200 calories, which is exactly what is recommended by everybody for a military-aged male, ages 16 to 35, engaged in strenuous activity. I submit that we are going to be engaged in strenuous activity. I also submit that it's the best policy to prep for everybody as if they were military-aged males and then have some headroom in your food storage if some of those people you're feeding are not, which is what I do. So at 750 pounds per year of these 4 things, corn, rice, wheat, beans, it comes out to 3,277.18 calories per day in a typical calendar year, 365 and 1/4 days, as we revolve around the whatever. Okay. So this seems like a lot of food. 750 pounds of corn, let's say in 50-pound bags is what? 15 sacks of corn times, what are they? 5, we'll just say they're $10 a sack. Okay, that's $150. Next. So don't let it, Bear, it's so much, I can't do it. Yes, you can. and eat the elephant one bite at a time. Get what you can get. Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Next, the 7 meals plan. I've mentioned this a trillion times. What it is you pick 7 meals. And I use this example all the time. Spaghetti and meat sauce. Just made it last night. And in fact, had some additional people that we felt like feeding, and so we did. And we just made 3 pounds of spaghetti and 1 big jar instead of 2 pounds of spaghetti in 1 big jar. So for us, it's 2 pounds of spaghetti and 1 big jar of sauce, spaghetti and meat sauce. Bam, dinner. And all of our 7 meals plan, the preparation for equates to boil water and or dump things in a pot and heat it, okay? And these 7 meals are spaghetti and meat sauce, white chicken chili, let's see, what do we have? Beef stroganoff, so forth and so on, okay? Green bean casserole with chicken. And it's all stuff in cans. And what you do is you identify your 7 meals. These are your dinner meals, okay? Identify those 7 meals. And for us, 2 pounds of spaghetti, 1 jar of sauce. So it's 104 pounds of spaghetti and 52 jars of sauce. Cool. When sauce goes on sale, I'm going to buy 52 jars. When spaghetti goes on sale, I'll buy 104 pounds. Ideally, this is stuff that you already eat so that you're rotating through this inventory. And when you use 4 pounds of spaghetti in a year, or in a week or a month or whatever, you put 4 more pounds back in, okay? So if you have these 7 meals, this plan done, plus 750 pounds per person per year, you're easily pushing a year and a half of food storage. Why is that important? It's important because you need to use your food storage as a buffer to spin up your food production. Food production is important because I submit that the system, the just-in-time logistical agricultural system that's highly dependent upon technology, the flow of electrons and oil, is going to be less effective during chaos than it is right now. It may not be effective at all. If that is the case, and we are in a long-term protracted SHTF, the stuff has hit the fan, we need to be able to produce food. Not just consume the food that we've stored, but produce more food to offset this food storage. This food storage is your cushion. It's your buffer while you spin up your production. How are we going to produce? Gardens, greenhouses, row crops, livestock, orchards are just some of the methods. And however, whatever you do this is great. You know, we heard from everybody that the Back to Eden garden is the way to go. Then we did it and we got more rain than ever in our area, and the soil was so moist that half of our seeds rotted in the ground. It was not the best way to go for us. So you're going to have to start experimenting with your seeds, with your climate, with your amount of sun, with your rainfall, with your dirt, where you are at now. Not, I'm going to take my survival seed vault out there into the wilderness, yon wilderness, and listen, y'all, when the balloon goes up, I'm just going to sprinkle these little seeds out there in the dirt, and we're going to get these massive jack-of-the-beanstalk beans are going to come up, and we're going to live forever on these giant seed pods. Negative. Not happening. At least not in my humble experience, not happening. Okay? If we had to live off the garden we planted this last year, we'd all be much thinner and or dead. Start now. Start learning now. Greenhouses, I really do think are going to become a thing. I'm pretty well sold on the concept of the grand solar minimum because I hear it from everywhere. Different sources that have no reason to collude with one another. When my ham radio guys are talking to me about sunspots and or the lack thereof, and that dovetails into, you know, what David Dubine at Adapt 2030 and Christian at Ice Age Farmer are saying, and that dovetails into what dude at Yamasa Ama Ranch is saying, and so forth and so on. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm there. You got me there. Row crops. Row crops are going to be things like corn, rice, wheat, and beans. Aside from your vegetable garden, because these are calorie dense. 1,600 calories per pound. You could also look at things like potatoes, root vegetables, rutabagas, carrots, beets, so forth and so on. Livestock. I get the question constantly. Bear, yeah, I get it, food storage, but how do I store protein? For me, it's much easier to store it when it's alive, and then when I need it, ka-cha! Tasty. Okay? So livestock, and for us, this is sheep, goats, chickens, turkeys, and one remaining guinea hen that I'm hoping dies of a stroke, gets attacked by a coyote, a meteorite falls out of the sky and smokes it. Russian Spetsnaz comes tumbling out of the woods and picks it up and snaps its neck and then runs back into the woods again. Whatever, I don't care. It just needs to die. Don't tell my wife I said that. All right. And then orchards, easy. Nut and trees and berries and bushes and all of that, okay? Plant that and or facilitate what you already have. Identify those wild edibles on your property or near your property. Those are free calories. Go get them, okay? We have, I believe it's 18 different species of wild edibles on our property that we've identified thus far, which is awesome. So you need to be able to produce food so that you can offset the food that you're eating while the balloon has gone up. And then we get into food acquisition. This is a different category than food storage and food production. Food acquisition is depending on your region and the population density and the resources that you have available to you, your wild natural resources. Hush your face, watch. This may be viable for a time. I would remind you that during the Great Depression, the vast majority of game animals were hunted to the brink of extinction within 12 months. Not something that I would want to bet my life on, which is why I'm so heavy on food storage and food production. However, hunting, fishing, trapping, foraging, and scavenging are all potentially viable alternatives to, or not even alternatives, they would complement your food storage and your food production. Scavenging, don't take stuff from people that isn't yours. I'll just put it that way. Or if you do, prepare to be met with deadly force. Because just because something's wrong during rule of law doesn't make it right without rule of law. Okay? Hunting, fishing, trapping, foraging. That's all I'm going to say on that. Those are options potentially, but I would not and I do not bet my life on it because it's so much easier to just know that, hey, we've got all this food in buckets and there's meat over there in that field. One less thing, rather than to roll the dice and hope that I see a deer that I can shoot or whatever. All right, then water, and we're going to cruise here. Water. You need water. How much water? You will typically hear people say 1 gallon per person per day. The problem with that is it's wrong. I have, during strenuous activity, drank 2.5 gallons in a day of water. And yeah, 1 is a lot less than 2 or 2.5. Some would even say it's 40 to 50% less, or represents only 40 to 50% of 2 or 2.5, something like that. So you got to have some water storage. I recommend 5 gallons per person per day. Why? Well, again, from doing the things. We have deployed with Grindstone, our 501c3, 6 times in 2019, and we have 4 deployments slated right now for 2020, in addition to whatever we do reactionary to disaster, because disaster doesn't really schedule itself. So we will probably have 6+ deployments in 2020. And what we've learned while doing this is A, you need to have two pounds of food per person per day on hand to feed these people. B, you need 5 gallons of water per person per day, because some of it is drinking, but a lot of it is also cleaning your dirty body and the utensils and pots and pans used to cook the food that you fed these people, and the cooking of the food itself. So there's 3 ways right there you're consuming water. So a sponge bath, hydration, and cooking your food equates to about 5 gallons per person per day. So that's been our experience. So however, whatever you do that, you need to do it. A way is rainwater catchment. Now, unfortunately, in certain areas of the United States right now, it's illegal to catch rainwater. That is absurd. You live in the wrong place if you can't use the rain. What? That is stupid. Okay, you could have a well drilled, or maybe you already have a well drilled, or maybe you're going to hand dig your own well, whatever. A well is an option. Maybe you want a 12-volt pump as well as a 120 pump. Maybe you want 12-volt solar panels hooked into a charge controller, hooked into an inverter, making 120 to power your well pump. Maybe you want to have a bucket. They make these things that looks like a torpedo that slides down inside your well casing. A long bucket. You drop it in and pull it back up, and you can get water out of your well. Something like that. Creeks, streams, rivers, whatever you got, water sources. You need to know what's upstream from you when you do that, because if you're downstream from a cattle operation or a hog operation or chicken houses or something like that, it's better than nothing, but I don't want to be dependent on it. And so again, rainwater catchment is perhaps the least affected water source that you could get your hands on. Lakes, etc. A way is to have a garden cart with some buckets and lids that if you have surface water like a lake, a pond, a stream, a creek, or whatever, you can go there, fill your buckets, and have a pre-filter, a piece of cheesecloth, a cotton rag, whatever, over the mouth of the bucket, dip it in. That pre-filters all the junk, the leaves and debris and detritus out of the bucket. Put it into the garden cart, put the lid on, and pull that back to where you are. Now, if your water's a mile away from where you are right now, you have a problem, which is, yet again, hey, maybe rainwater catchment is good for you. Okay. And then redundancy and or resupply. If you're going to bug out to Aunt Millie's house, you need to have at least some of this stuff there. If you don't have any of that stuff there yet, then I really don't suggest bugging out to Aunt Millie's house. For example, we have locations that we are in talks of developing as additional spider points. Go watch that video. That we don't have anything there yet. So I'm not going to go there until I have stuff there, including food and water. And then lastly, who eats? Right here. Who eats? Que bono. Who benefits from the labor, the blood of your hands, the sweat of your brow? Everybody must contribute. 1 Timothy 5, chapter 5, verse 8. He who does not work, does not eat, and has denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. He who does not work has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. I added the does not eat part. Do you really want to be an infidel? Work. Get after it. Well, I'm medically, handily, capital. Okay, cool. There's something that you can do. And that gets back to the whole team building thing. Everybody can contribute. Everybody can do something. It's much more about mindset and heart set and skill set than it is about physicality. And so you must contribute somehow. You must already be contributing for me to be putting away food for you right now. Then beyond that, when we get into food production, as food works its way up out of the ground for us to eat, I'm not just giving those calories away. You have to actually contribute. So you need to figure out right now, not only how am I going to store this much food, how am I going to produce this much food and or acquire this much food, and then for who? Because if the answer is there's 12 people coming to your house and none of them have done any prepping and 10 of them are going to be useless, why? Why? I mean, unless you're independently wealthy or something, in which case, call me. We should go right back over here to food production just for a minute, because I think I hit it, but we should hit it again. As you're producing food, not all calories are created equal. So your row crops, your gardens and your greenhouses, you need to be looking at things that are very calorie dense, high caloric density: corn, rice, wheat, beans, potatoes, root vegetables, all that stuff. Those are macronutrients. Yes, you need the micronutrients from sprouts and greens and all of that, but you need the calories, the caloric density, to make it worth the energy, the calories you're putting into planting those things, that you're getting a return on your investment as they come back up out of the ground. There are a lot of fruits and veggies that are a caloric deficit. It takes more calories to plant them and tend them than you will get back when you eat them. Be careful about that. Additionally, your livestock. Did you know that sheep have almost twice as many calories per pound of meat as goats do? A big part of that is the fat content and also the density of the meat. So pound for pound, if you could have sheep or goats and you have pasture, you have property that will support either or both. Sheep are a better deal because you're getting twice as many calories per pound almost in sheep meat as you are in goat meat. And I think sheep taste better. However, goats will eat pretty much anything. And yes, you can milk both of them, and they're, listen, broad brushstrokes here. But the point is you need to actually identify with your food production what's worth producing and do that to replenish your food storage, not just throw a bunch of seeds in the ground and hope for the best. So, thank you for being here for Food and Water Part 2. Again, there's nothing here that I haven't said 1,000 different ways in 1,000 different videos. Literally, I think we're pushing 1,400 videos now. But I wanted to have all this information in one place so that it would be shareable for those of y'all that need to pass this to other people. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our patrons. You guys are the economic engine of Bear Nation. We could not do it without you, and we would not do it without you. So thank you very much for supporting the show. If you'd like to support the show, there's a baby bear up here somewhere, one of these places. T, what did you do to your finger? It's fine. Don't worry about it, Mom. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. Baby bear up here somewhere. Click the baby bear. It'll take you to Patreon. 24 plus exclusive pieces of content per month on Patreon in addition to everything we do here. If you liked this, please like it. Do the little thumbs up thingy. Or you could be a turd and thumbs down. Whatever. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next series of Prepper Classroom videos. And share this with people. Please send this to people who need to see it. Shalom, y'all.